Welcome to the future of Israel and the Jewish people. Thank you for joining us. This afternoon we have Lou Pisco. Once again, thank you for coming, Lou.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And today, in this show, we're going to introduce ourselves. You have to know who the co-hosts are and what we are like personally. So let's go back to the original thing that we started with, Lou, in the first show, since this is show 1025, I think. We were at your education, your way of thinking. We were in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
We were in everything else in the first show. What leads you to Christianity? Let's start again to go back so that people can catch up a little bit.
Christianity led me throughout my life, but I never led myself into Christianity. Christianity was always a guide for me, but I had to become broken to be absorbed by Christianity.
What does that mean, broken?
I had to go through a lot of trauma in life, a lot of personal loss, either done by my hand or by others. And a lot of times when you go through a lot of loss in your life, you have nothing left, so you cry out to God. And you cry out to the Messiah to say, fix me or cleanse me, deliver me. It's almost like a prayer that you might even have King David think of praying in a time of loss. Deliver me, cleanse me, restore me, make me whole again. But I think that loss needs to be in life for that change to happen. And in my youth, there were many times I thought I was invincible. Many times that I've done things that I wish if I had a magical eraser to go back and remove, I would.
Don't we all?
But I think I wouldn't learn what I have learned now if I were to go back and erase that. But I think if I keep looking backwards to where I am now, going forward, my future will be better.
Well, you said the key word. Let's go forward instead of backward.
Right.
What does your future look like?
Well, right now I'm currently in seminary. I'm studying to be a pastor, minister. I've got a few side ministries as well. But one of my goals is to bring students from first grade to 12th grade, the study of academics, but also the study of the Holy Scriptures, the studies of the Jewish community, the ethnic beliefs, the customs, to have the Torah itself as a guide, as a book to study deeply.
Well, in order to do that, Hebrew comes into effect.
Sure. The Hebrew language will be taught. The first century Greek language will be taught. And I always look at the book of Proverbs when it says, train up a child in the way that you want him to be. And when he gets older, he doesn't depart from that. So as you teach them young, the more they become acclimated to your structure, when they graduate, they'll be a lot more stronger to go into the world.
In the last segment, we talked about Jew and Gentile, or religion of being Catholic and being Jewish, about the word Yeshua,
Right.
or Jesus. We came together as one people. We were talking about that.
Yes.
What makes you say you want to go to church and teach and be a pastor rather than being a complete rabbi and teach? Because again, we start with the same God, but we have to start with his birth. We start with his birth with a virgin, but when we started with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, we forget about his 33 years before that, and Joseph. We forget about that. So therefore, if I got you thinking about it, why would you not think about being a rabbi?
It deals with conversion.
Yes.
You've got to convert.
Oh.
I don't mind converting. I would love to convert to Judaism. But I'm always going to have my belief that the Messiah is here. Now let me backpedal for a second. There are many Jews that don't believe the Messiah has arrived yet.
Mm-hmm.
There are some that believe that they have arrived. So for me, if I were to convert, I would have to convert to the Messianic Judaism side because they believe the Messiah has come.
Okay.
Now I can go to the Orthodox and acclimate myself to their customs of belief and their structure and ways of life. And I could learn a great deal from that that would enrich my life in faith and also in the Holy Scriptures. But I want the Messiah to be the central focus of my life, no matter what I do.
Well, you can do that in the Messianic realm.
Sure.
Then again, I say the guy that teaches Messianic teachings is still a rabbi.
Sure.
Why
yes.
wouldn't you go there rather than the church? It's very interesting that you would say that and be pro-Jewish at the same time.
I think you can be pro-Jewish, but still, it all depends on where God is leading you. God can tell you, I want you to move, and I want you to move to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And now here you are living in the United States, you pack up, and now you find yourself in a strange land, even though you studied that strange land. But yet as soon as you plant your feet on the Holy Land, it's going to be different because you had never lived there. Conversion and faith is similar to that. There's always going to be a portion where it's going to be unknown to you. And in the unknown is where we need to have either the God the Father or the Messiah to lead you by hand to say, I want you to go there. I want you to study with the rabbis. I want you to study with the regular Jewish people and glean off of them and learn from them about my customs that I grew up with.
Okay.
Now, I could get an exact duplicate of what the Messiah grew up in. I might not. Being in our timeline and in a timeline of the Messiah, there's probably a lot of things that aren't practiced any longer. But one can hope that they're still practiced.
Well, I can tell you, when I was in Israel, and you walk the steps that Jesus took, and you see where the Holy Sepulchre is, and you see where the skull of them, it's just different. The whole thing, and you become, at least I did, become part and parcel of that culture.
Right.
And when you become part, it's easier to digest going back to Jesus. It's easier to digest going back 33 years where he was born. It's easier to go back to his lineage. And I'm saying to you, maybe, just maybe, God is saying to you, or should say to you, or could say to you, come, I want you to be the Gentile like Saul had changed from being an anti-Semite about all his people
Right.
to being a
Pro-Jew.
A pro-Jesus.
Right, a pro-believer.
So therefore, maybe that's what you need. That's what the church needs, to understand the Jew itself and the culture that it came from and the environment it came from.
That's where my ministry is going to come into light. Upon my completion of my studies, the site I'm going to have is going to have both. It's going to be a property where not only is the Jew comfortable where he can call home, but also the Gentile. On the property itself, I'm going to have several flags. One's going to be the American flag, one's going to be the Israeli flag, and one's going to be the Christian flag. So as outsiders see the property, they know right away by their banner that they're going to be welcome on that property and be safe. My goal is to bring both together. The things that I have seen in this United States, I don't recognize anymore. And that places a lot of fear into me. what I want to teach these upcoming generations, and my thought process is this: if I begin at a young age, from first grade, upon completion in high school, they're going to have your core academics, obviously. I want to teach them the holistic life of faith to live off of the land, but I also want them to learn faith itself through the scriptures. I'm going to include the Torah, I'm going to include all of the rabbinical texts, but I'm also going to include our New Testament, in which the Gentiles believe in. So they're going to go and receive both sets of instructions from the Old and from the New. So when they graduate, they're going to know Hebrew, they're going to know Greek, and they're going to know a lot more about faith, more than a current structure of education now.
So it seems like there's going to be a pot of soup that you're going to throw everything in.
A great melting pot? Yes. I'd like to think so, yes.
Well,
but it's going to be a safe haven for both Jew and Gentile.
That reminds me, there used to be, and of course there is no longer, that place in Waterbury, right up on the hill, that Route 84 used to go through. And you could see the big cross that's still there, and there was a town up there, a little town of Bethlehem. And that's been destroyed.
I believe they're starting to rebuild it.
I hope so, because I miss that. I missed it as a Jew. I missed it as a person of an American heritage, and I just missed it, not being there any longer.
I believe they label it as Holy Land.
Yes, they did.
And
I don't know if they still do.
Last year they had vandalized it. This year I believe the community came together and they're rebuilding the site. If I remember correctly, at the beginning of the year, it was blessed by a Catholic priest, but also a Jewish rabbi.
Wonderful.
So now, not only are we seeing both come together in the community, but I'm hoping to see both come within the community together, where they can call that a place of worship for both Jew and Gentile. And we need that so desperately these days. The horrors these past week of the rockets that are being fired from the Gaza Strip into the Israeli lands. I recently saw the news. They had several hundred just in a burst just over the Gaza Strip, bombarding families and homes
and children's
and
playgrounds.
The sirens are going off. No one should live like that. And yet the countries surrounding them should immediately come to their defense. But as you and I know, it's a feud between two families. And it's similar to the Hatfields and the McCoys. One wants something that the other has, and the other is so prideful that they don't want to relinquish it. Meanwhile, the origin was always for the Jews there. It's their land. Let them have it.
Again, there are people who profit by argument, by war, by arguing war and food. And somebody said to me a long time ago, if you control the food, you control people.
Oh, sure.
So therefore, Israel is the #1 provider of food around the world today, because they grow that food and they ship it out.
Also medicine.
Yes, medicine.
They're phenomenal for the medical field, the educational field, even the media arts, the painting, the musicians. And this is what is not only a shockingly disgusting, but it's alarming. So much goodness comes from that land through the Jewish people, but all their desire is to eradicate the Jews.
Well, again, somebody said to me in the Bible that God bless his people, and those people who try to destroy it, they will be destroyed in kind. And Plenty of Jews during the Holocaust were destroyed by
Yes.
fire.
Right.
The leader of Germany, called Adolf Hitler, was destroyed by the same way, by fire. So God's promise to the Jewish people have always been there.
We're going to
What you
see a
do to
lot
my
more
people,
calamity. Right.
That's what you do.
And I think now more than ever, we need to see communities rally together to support the Jews, no matter their denomination, whether if they're Orthodox, Reformed, or Conservative, or even the Messianics. Go and support the Jews. Let them know that as you extend a hand, it doesn't have a weapon to kill them, but a hand to draw them in friendship to say, let me help you.
Well, the guy who helped was President Trump, and I don't want to get into politics on this program, but the answer is when all the rest of the presidents said Jerusalem will be open to the American embassy, guess what happened? He did it.
Right.
The rest of them only talked about it, and they were politicized by saying, don't do it. And so they didn't, but Trump did, and it's glory to him. That's why I believe he's successful in this country, because he blessed his people, my people, our people. And that's one of the things that happened just from this country. There's another thing that happened as far as a Jewish lady saved a rabbi's life. And strangely enough, the rabbi was bleeding from his arm, and what was wrapped around it? His talis, or talit, wrapped around his bleeding arm, and it so reminded me of Jesus. Where the blood of Jesus was coming down his clothing into his garment. It was unbelievable that's what I saw. And it really tore my heart that that's what had happened. But the lady died. And she was a real hero. She would be a saint.
Sure.
Because she took the bullet that was meant for the rabbi.
Greater love had no man and laid down his life for his brother.
Amen.
And
That's a very good...
And that example, even for her to do that, she had to have known what she was doing. And even in a split second, you know, we can ask ourselves, could we be able to do that? And I really think that, and even for our viewers that view us, you have to have that bond of love there, to the point where you don't have to just think about it, you just go and do automatically. If someone was held up in a store being robbed, you can have someone go automatically to try and defend them just by the banner of love, instead of thinking about saying, well, what do I do? What do I know is right to do? It should be something just automatically done. And she did that. She put herself in harm's way to save the rabbi.
I only know one other story, and that was during World War II, where a guy did the same thing. He hopped on a grenade, and saved his whole group from a German grenade. And it was so timely, so responsibly, that I'm ashamed that I forgot the man's name, because he was a hero that saved 12 other men, as well as she was a lady that saved the rabbi's life. So therefore, there are people around to save, but there are so few. There are really so few. But let's get back to something that's very personal. What clubs did you play? Let's leave religion and let's go someplace else.
Sure.
A lot more about you. Well, did you belong to any clubs?
Not really. I don't have any. The only clubs that I really pretty much belong to, it's just kind of connected to children's youth ministries in Connecticut, and nothing really exact to say. You know, I don't belong to any Knights of Columbus. I don't belong to any large organizations like that. I just do a lot of volunteer work locally through the churches. There are some that they do a retreat for the weekends, and they try to teach the kids on the weekend the structures of Christianity. And I know some of the dioceses of Bridgeport have that periodically throughout the state. But club-wise, I don't really belong to any club at all.
It's a shame because you are Italian, and I don't know of any Italian that doesn't cook. And I have experience, because we're personal and
Right.
we were at each other's homes, that you do the cooking.
I love to cook.
I can see.
Yes.
I can see. But tell us about what you like to cook, or where did you learn to cook?
I learned to cook from my mom. Being young, I always had the curiosity to see what she was making. So it was never something forceful. I would always go to her and say, "Mom, what are you making? What are you doing?" And she would always grab and hold me close to her, but always warn me about the stove being hot. So I would always look at her to see how she would make the food. And it could be from lasagna, it could be from rabbit that was freshly slaughtered for a Sunday meal. You know, your Italian cuisines of meatballs and sausages, the red sauce for the pasta and everything like that. They were absorbed at a very young age. So one of the passions that I was left from Mom was a passion to feed people.
I know you don't get it out of a can. You make everything
I
fresh.
try to make everything from scratch, as best as possible.
And very healthy. I can see how healthy you
I
are.
try to, yes. I've got to cover my gut here. I'm getting a little bit large.
Yeah. You never, being large, you never played football?
No, I tried. I tried sports, but my hand-eye coordination wasn't so good. But I did find myself going into shooting sports. So I wanted to join the military. I wanted to be, I wasn't a citizen until age 19 to 20 in the U.S. And myself, I always wanted to go into the United States military, but they had refused me because of my health. But I wanted to go and be either an airman or fly the helicopters for the hospitals, for the wounded, even to see if I can go into some of the fighter jets. But every branch I went to, they refused me.
For health reasons?
Health reasons.
Wow. Then you should have joined the Navy.
I tried. They said no.
Because you're too tall.
No, because of my health. I wanted to go into the Air Force.
Oh, really? You tried everything?
I tried everything. And I always loved to fly, but yet if you put me on a commercial airline in my youth, I would get airsick. I'd have to take a box of Dramamine pills. Even on a little vessel off the shore, off of Long Island Sound, as soon as the waves are going, there goes Lou on the side. You know, unfortunately it's automatic. But I'm noticing as I'm getting older, the queasiness is disappearing, especially on flights.
Because?
You're
taking Dramamine?
No, actually I stopped taking that. I don't take that anymore.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know why. Maybe just age. Maybe just resilience and comfort to know, you know, I've got to put my trust in the pilots.
Well, you put your trust in pilots because I don't fly. I don't fly at all. But by the same token, let's go back to the synagogue. And I say, I was invited to Yamchat, I think it's called Yamchat, Y-I-M-C-H-A-T.
In New Haven?
Hamden.
Yes.
And I would love to have the rabbi on back there and ask him the same questions I have asked you. What makes him come to Jesus?
Right.
Or Yeshua. That's his Hebrew name, in case everybody didn't know that. But by the same token, when did he decide to come to the Christian side, so to speak? And what made him do that? What showed in his Bible and his mind to come? And that would be a very interesting show for us to do.
I would love to have not only him but also his wife with him, to have the couple.
Well, she was on our program, if you recall.
Right.
You interviewed her.
I interviewed her. Yes,
Yeah.
Meryl, phenomenal woman.
She is very funny and very down to earth and very honest.
And a walking library. My God, the knowledge that woman carries. Good Lord, she's blessed with knowledge. And if she's blessed with knowledge, I wonder how her husband is with knowledge.
Right.
Probably doubly blessed.
And their son, who's going to take over when he retires, he's must be quite the future rabbi of knowledge from his father and his mother, of getting both female and male views of what it is to be a Jew.
Well, what's the possibility of having him on our show, the son?
I have never viewed that to be the case. I said maybe the father first.
Okay.
But by the same token, if you think it necessary, I'll give him a call as well.
Sure.
But first, I'm getting cued by the end of the show.
Got a couple minutes left.
Yes. So, again, how would you like to finish up the show, the second part?
We need to have the community come together, whether you're Jew or Gentile, and we have got to heal not only the land but also the people. We have got to remove the fear that the Jew has by the Gentiles. As I had told you in the past, when I would say I love you to a Jew, they would say I love you back, but what do you want?
That's right.
Because they always had that underlying theme of like, what is he here for? Because of that fear. I would love to see that fear disappear, and I would love to see a tremendous healing to the Jewish people happen.
Well, how do you view that to happen without education? Telling people what to do is not good.
I think we have to physically go to them. And if you can label that as a pilgrimage, then that's what we've got to do.
And every guy is afraid that when he goes to the people, they will what? Leave the church and
Right.
leave the money.
Right.
And take the money with them. So that's a big problem today. And so all of these things leave us another problem to do.
Sure.
And how to solve the problem is not as easy as having the problem. We know what the problem is. So we give you thanks and praise for everything that you do. Thank you, Lord, for letting Lou come here. We thank you, Lord, for everything that you do for us. We thank you for this program. And ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us for this program. One last word to do is shalom. I appreciate your business. I appreciate your attention. Thank you.